Hello there, World of Tankers. Welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Droodles Blitz, and in today's video, well, we got some really interesting things to break into. 4 Blitz Nation heavy tanks ranging from tier 7, 8, 9, and 10. This is technically the first Blitz Nation Tech Tree line, whatever you want to call it, that's going to enter the game. Now, I'm not exactly sure how Wargaming is going to treat these group of vehicles, if they're going to be on their own little nation, or if they're just going to be collectors that you have to buy individually. I don't know. But even if they are individual, I'm still counting this as a line because, well, there's 4 tanks ranging from tier 7 to tier 10. All of them have similar capabilities. They're all heavy tanks, and they all have almost the exact same name. So I'm considering this to be the first Blitz Nation Tech Tree. Just because something's a Tech Tree doesn't mean it needs to cost XP. It could cost money. But either way, yeah, this is a really interesting addition to the game. Now, obviously, all of these vehicles are in testing, and they might be buffed. I've heard a lot of testers saying they absolutely hate the Sterope. I'm not sure what to say about it. We'll take a look at the armor and the capabilities, but we're going to start off with the Tier 7 Merope, I don't know how to pronounce it, and yeah, let's get right into it. Let's start off very briefly with the armor profile, and this thing has really good armor. As we can see, the turret is 280 thick on the one side. However, the other half of the turret is actually weak. We can see here loading premium shells that, yeah, it's like one side's good, one side's bad. It's two-face turned into a tank. Now, that's totally fine because if you're decent at the game, you can angle the turret like this, and now it's going to be really hard to cut through this plate here because it's still upwards of 220. And then, yeah, it's actually going to be pretty decent if you angle it properly. But in general, the armor, it's nothing crazy, but it's good enough that you'll get bounces from most tier 6s and most standard shells from tier 7. The lower plate is very weak at 130, but it's got a really goofy lower plate, which is actually over 280 thick and will get auto ricochets from just about everything. So you're going to have some goofy shots, especially with your inaccurate vehicles that might go low and ricochet right off this tank, kind of like the Type 71. Side armor-wise, it's all spaced. It's decent at side scraping, and actually 119 millimeters. That's really good. The rear, 35, so you can still high explosive pen this tank, but yeah, in general, the armor seems pretty good. We can also see that Wargaming finally designed a tank where the back of the gun actually moves up and down. It's been a while since we've had a cool-looking tank like this, so it's actually quite unique, and the gun is even more unique. This is the first burst-style autoloader we've had in a while, apart from the Defender FVE. We can see how the gun works here. This is how the mechanic works. So after 14 seconds of reloading, it goes bam, 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 shoots 3, and then you can see after a 5-second intro clip, it goes bam, bam, bam again. So you have 6 shells in total, and it's a burst gun. It really reminds me of the Char MLE from World of Tanks PC. That thing I've played over 1,000 games in, and the gun works exactly the same here. So it's very interesting. But yeah, basically think of it as a burst autoloader. Now, you technically have 2 different guns you can use. There's also a single shot, which has a pretty average damage per minute, pretty average damage per shot. I don't know why you'd ever run this gun. I think it completely defeats the purpose of this vehicle. Stick with the autoloader. And by the way, it's a Hesh autoloader. Both guns fire Hesh, but well, I'd be running the autoloader personally. So it has 1900 DPM and 110 damage per shot, so technically 330 in a burst. And if you're loading high explosive, it does 140, so what is that, 420 damage in a burst. It's a decent amount of damage. I mean, this thing can deal 660 or 840 with a fully penetrating high explosive clip. It also has standard HE, which does a little bit more damage to 930. Now, penetration-wise, it's 189 with calibrated, and then loading Hesh is 150. So it's actually pretty good pen for a tier 7. In general, the gun seems really, really fun. Mobility-wise, we'll take a look in just a second, but let's see how the gun is in terms of its accuracy. Well, dispersion is pretty average, but do remember, most likely you're going to be running refined gun. No special equipment or mechanics, by the way. So 0.285 is pretty good. On movement dispersion, not bad. It's not great, but it's all right. And the after-shot dispersion is also pretty good, which makes sense because this thing does need to have good after-shot dispersion if you're going to burst your shells like that. 10 degrees of gun depression, so very flexible. Over the rear, it only has 5 degrees of gun depression, so nothing crazy. It has a top speed of 36, a reverse of 14, and a power-to-weight ratio that's pretty bad, to be entirely honest, but I guess that's fine because it has pretty good armor in most situations. 1,500 hit points places it pretty average. So, in general, the mobility is pretty average for a tier 7 heavy, but the gun is incredibly unique. This will be the first burst style gun we have. I guess the Annihilator technically has a gun like this, but this thing shoots 6 shells, so I think it's really cool. I'm actually excited for this one. Do I think it's going to be overpowered? I'm not sure. It's hard for me to say because its DPM is pretty average in the heavy tanks class, and it does have a long interclip, so I actually think this one might be pretty balanced, which is good. Single shot wise, I mean, it seems fine. Really good DPM on the Hesh, 2760. I mean, the single shot DPM is great, and the accuracy is pretty mid, but again, I just don't know why you'd run this gun single shot when it has a, you know, an autoloader. That seems a lot more fun. So now we move on to the tier 8, the Pleione. I really don't know how to pronounce this thing. We're just going to call it the AC-14. Now, the tier 8, again, it only has AP, so we're going to swap over to a vehicle that has normal shells. We'll go to a tier 8 heavy. The T-32 is totally fine. So this is what the T-32 looks at with 235 standard pen and 278 premium. So against standard, the turret cheeks are pretty good. They're about 250 thick. This tank also has pretty good gun depression at 8 degrees. The armor, this thing looks really goofy, guys. Like, really goofy. Hull down, though, I mean, it's pretty strong, 275. However, you can't really angle the turret like the other one. There's just no purpose, because when you angle it, this actually becomes flat, it appears. So, in general, the most effective armor you're going to have on hull down is about 276, and against heat, it's going to be about 280. So, it's nothing crazy. Premium shells from IS-5s, IS-6s, most tanks running calibrated will have a pretty decent chance of cutting through you, especially because this here is max gun depression. So if you're not using max, it's going to be pretty easy to cut through this tank's turret. But against standard, especially against lower tier vehicles, the armor does seem pretty dang beefy. The lower plate, though, is terrible, and it's incredibly large. So I will say the armor profile on the tier 8 is pretty bad. The lower plate just has it has that goofy troll spot on the lower plate again, but I mean, this thing just, the corner cutouts are awful. The track wheels are not good. This thing better have a good gun, because in terms of armor, I mean, to be fair, using gun depression, it will be fine. But in terms of overall armor compared to the tier 7, it's a lot worse. I'll just put it like that. Side armor is weaker, and the rear is also pretty bad. So yeah, definitely nothing special in terms of the armor department of this tank. But let's see how the gun is. Let's put on calibrated shells, refined gun. Something like this is probably what I'd be running. Oh, the DPM's worse, 1796. Interesting. That makes it one of the lowest damage per minute heavies in the tier. But it's still fine. 1800 DPM is plenty to get the job done. And again, it's a Hesh firing vehicle. Oh, never mind, it has heat. Oh, I take it back. Neither gun has Hesh. Weird. So only the tier 7 has Hesh. All right, so let's take a look at the gun. It's got a 28-second clip reload, which is insanely long. But again, what the heck? I just realized this thing has a crazy burst. Look at the gun. Oh my god, it has a 4 burst. So each shot does 90 damage, and in total, it's able to deal 1,080 potential damage in how much time? The intraclip is 2 seconds. So it has how many bursts? It's 3 bursts, right? Because you press the first one. All right, let's skip this. So it's got 1 burst there. That has no interclip. And then 2, 3. So it has 3 bursts in total. So it's 6 seconds of dumping time to deal 1,080 damage. To be fair, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. It's a pretty dangerous looking tank. The DPM is fine, to be honest. It's pretty similar to that of an Emil 1 or, you know, any other autoloader. And I'm actually happy Wargaming is giving this thing an insanely long clip reload, because I think autoloaders are too strong and they should be punished for having long reloads. So I'm totally fine with that. However, let's see what the heat looks like. Oof, 75 damage per shot. Okay. It's got 299 pen, which is pretty good. The standard pen is eh. And then it has high explosive, which doesn't really do that much more damage. Penetration-wise, it's 48. So you're really never going to use the high explosive on this tank. If we scroll down a little bit, we can see the shell velocity is very nice on the standard. Overall dispersion value is pretty bad, to be honest. Those are all really, really bad. At least it's got gun depression. Top speed of 38. Its power-to-weight ratio is pretty bad as well, so yeah, in terms of this tank, it definitely seems a little worse than the tier 7. It still might be balanced, and to be fair, it has a single shotgun, which has more DPM, but the damage is really low on the single shot. Oh, wait, it has 2 auto-loading guns. Oh, okay. Interesting. So this gun has more DPM, and let me see how this gun works. So let's wait a teeny bit longer. It's loading the shells, and okay, so it's just a normal autoloader. You just shoot once. Okay, so it's a just normal autoloader. This gun seems a little bit better in terms of the capabilities because it's got a much faster interclip. It's got a really quick reload, and the DPM's a little better. But again, I'm still probably going to be running this gun. It might have less DPM, but it still seems a lot more fun, and it's got way more clipping potential. So both guns are probably going to be fine, but if you're looking in terms of fun, I'm still going to be running this thing. I mean, look at that. Boom, boom, boom. That looks really exciting. Now we move on to the tier 9. This thing's armor was kind of insane when I was aiming at it in testing. I mean, look at this thing's armor profile, dude. That's crazy. So we can see that this is heat. This is what 345 heat looks like aiming at the vehicle. Yeah, that armor's really good because you can see it's got all these goofy spots. Like this here is actually spaced. I didn't realize that. That's actually spaced armor. So you need like an insane amount of pen to cut through the upper plate here. It's over 300 plus thick. Heat's not going to cut through. However, I am interested to see if premium APCR will. Let's get a tank that has premium APCR like the E3. And yes, so premium APCR will be able to cut through. But in general, like this thing's got pretty good turret armor. We can see that at weakest, the turret is about, let me leave Cali on. At weakest, the turret's about 290. And then at the angles, it's like 450, 350, 370. Like this thing's got some goofy armor. Even the weaker points are still 290 thick. So the only real weak point that appears to exist is this corner over here. That does not count as a hatch. That doesn't count as a hatch. So yeah, it's got some good armor, honestly. Really, really good armor. It's got good gun depression. The lower plate, very weak though. Once again, super, super weak lower plate. Doesn't seem to be good at side scraping. Yeah, it seems like really, really bad side scraping armor. Yeah, it's 72 base. It's not awful, but I mean, let me get like an M60. Yeah, it's definitely not going to be good at getting bounces on the side. How about the rear? 77. Okay, so it's decent. It's definitely a lot better than all the other tanks. This thing looks pretty good in terms of the armor, though. Let's take a look at the gun. Again, features two different guns. So you have a single shot 480 alpha, decent DPM, solid levels of penetration, 362. So it's got a good gun in that regard. However, again, if you're driving this tank and you're running the single shot, I think you're kind of defeating the purpose of this vehicle. Run the auto-loading gun. It's got an incredibly long reload of 27 seconds, and the DPM is only about 100 more than the tank below it. Let's see how the gun works. So it's the exact same mechanic as the tier 7, where you press the fire button once, it shoots 3, and then you've got a 5-second interclip between them. But it does a lot of clipping potential, 1080. That's not bad at all. So you do 1080 damage, and then you got to wait 27 seconds for your shells to come back. It's basically the same DPM and damage output as the tier 8. Penetration-wise, the premium is... Where is it? I'm scrolling. I don't see... Oh, that's high explosive. That's why. 345 and 267. So it's got plenty of pen. Accuracy-wise, the gun is pretty bad. Wow, that's really bad. That's terrible. So I'm interested to see how the accuracy is going to be in actual games. Mobility-wise, 35, 14. It's really slow as well. I mean, that's almost E3 power to weight levels. So I can definitely see why the testers weren't loving this thing in terms of every regard. But again, I think this is a balanced autoloader. I'm glad that this thing has low DPM. It's one of the few times it seems like Wargaming's actually having autoloaders balanced. You might say, well, why would I drive this tank? Well, to be fair, it still looks like it has really good armor. Hull down, I mean, look at this thing. That's 275 pen. That's 339. This thing's going to be really good in terms of armor. And it still features a dangerous gun. Even with 2000 DPM, it's not any worse than an M5 Yo, so I don't think it's going to be too big of a problem if you drive it properly. I would rather have an autoloader that's balanced or maybe even a little bit underpowered than an overpowered autoloader that completely ruins the game, and I think most of you would agree with that. That brings us to the final tank in the line, the Atlas. I like the name of this thing, but what a goofy looking vehicle, huh? It really is goofy looking. I don't love the design of this tank. But let's see what we're looking at in terms of armor. I would assume... Oh, that's not good at all. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, so let's see. This is 315 heat. This isn't even using calibrated. Oh, man. Oh, that thing... It's freaking Megamind, dude. What the hell is that? 200, that's awful. That's with enhance. There's no reason to run enhance. The upper plate's good. It's got some spaced armors we can see on it, but like even the upper plate's not that good. No, this thing is not good in terms of armor, so it better be good in terms of mobility because yeah, that's bad. 8 degrees of gun depression is at least somewhat flexible, but yeah, I mean, big old freaking Megamind forehead sticking out. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Side scraping, pretty bad. Rear armor, pretty bad. Yeah, this thing better have a good gun because right now the rest of it looks pretty dang awful. So again, it has two different guns. You have a single shot, 480 alpha, just like the tier 9, whatever, who cares, we're not going to break into that. And then it features an autoloader, which has actually more DPM than the single shot. So clearly Wargaming wants you to use the autoloader. And it does the exact same clipping potential of 1080 damage. Interesting. Its DPM is much better though. You shave about 10 seconds off the reload. So, interesting. So again, it does the same, yep, burst with a 5-second interclip. Okay. Interesting. Let's see the rest of the stats it's got going for. How much premium pen? Is that APCR heat? Oh, that's really bad. 356 heat is pretty bad. The high explosive is okay, I guess. Accuracy-wise, we're not running refined. Let me fully equip this tank really quickly. There you go. It looks okay in terms of accuracy. Nothing great. Mobility, 38. Power-to-weight ratio is really bad once again. Yeah, I'm going to be honest. This tank doesn't look good. I'm going to be real. The tier 9 has really good armor. Tier 9 looks good. The tier 8 looks pretty good because of the armor. It might be a little but armor's good. The whole line is really good armor. And then you get to the tier 10 and it's armor's butt cheeks, dude. That's awful. I mean, against standard you'll get bounces, but the moment anybody loads gold, I mean, look at how easy that is to pen. That's terrible. Wargaming needs to mega buff this thing's armor profile. That needs to be like 350 thick. Not even. This tier should not even be a weak spot. That should be like 400 thick. And then the weak shot spot, in my opinion, should be like these cutouts here. These should be the weak points. I don't understand why this thing has absolutely zero armor. It does not look that appealing to me. It doesn't look mobile. The gun looks fine. I mean, the mechanic it features is cool, but I still don't know how much I'm going to enjoy a tank that every time I poke might just be incredibly easy to pen, you know? I don't know. You guys can let me know what you think, but I think the rest of the line looks fine, but the tier 10 definitely might need a buff. We'll see. But again, I'm fine with Wargaming releasing balanced autoloaders, so you know what? Maybe it'll still be good. It does have a really dangerous gun in terms of that damage output. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Either way, let me know what you guys think about this whole line in the comments. If you're excited or not excited, either way, I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.